Have you ever felt judged for living life by your own terms? Hi, I'm Kim Ann. I've lived in this truck camper for 4 years with my dogs, Ron and Lilo, and I felt some judgment because of it. I used to hide behind a conventional life that made me unhappy. I was a people pleaser, and I carried a lot of guilt and shame. But now I'm living life the way I want to, and I've used other people's judgments as fuel for my own personal growth. In this video, I share my journey of how I turn negativity into empowerment, and you can too. We all face judgment from time to time, and it can be tough to navigate, but it's possible to rise above and thrive. So let's get into it. I'm visiting Bulow Plantation Ruined State Park in Florida. I'm looking at the remains of a sugar mill built in 1831. It was operated using steam power, but also the forced labor of enslaved people. There's a sign that says 193 enslaved people lived and worked on this plantation. It's heart-wrenching to me to think about that amount of cruelty. It makes me deeply emotional to be here.
Let's talk about some stigma of living in a truck camper. I just met a couple with their young son that are from California, and they're visiting this area in Florida. And they were really curious about my truck camper and about my living situation, where I go and where I've been, and that is really cool. But there's still misconceptions about this lifestyle and judgments. And I've seen it firsthand. I have some family members, when they found out that I was divorced and I gave up my house and I'm living in this truck camper, I got this, like they felt sorry for me, that I'm in essence homeless. And I think people equate it with homelessness, but you know, people do this by choice. People live in their cars by choice, in minivans, in various different vehicles by choice, to have a more minimalist life, to have more adventures, to live more in line with their values, and to get out of convention. When we do live in convention, we end up having a lot of bills, paying back student loans, paying for a mortgage. It's a very expensive lifestyle. But, you know, homeownership is the American dream, right? Our school system teaches us to be a worker bee. And we go to college, if we do choose to go to college, and then we're in debt because it's so overwhelmingly expensive. Very few people can pay for college out of their own pocket. And then you're in debt, paying for a house, paying for a car, paying your student loans back. It's just a vicious cycle, and you're forced to take a job maybe you don't like, maybe you don't want to be there. And that's just the American way, right? Well, some people have discovered a different lifestyle that is different than the American way, and there's a lot of misconceptions about that. I've gone to visit family members and a friend, and being judged for parking my camper in their driveway because maybe the HOA doesn't permit you to park there. There might be stigma of how it looks in the neighborhood. It's trashing up their house or the neighborhood. I was in a campground last winter in Florida, and my neighbor was in a very nice, brand new Class A RV, and it was a couple, and I spoke to them, and they have a very nice house in New York, and they're escaping the winter, coming down to Florida temporarily for a couple months. The woman asked me if I was full-time, and I said yes, and she looked at my rig and looked at me and was just like, "You stay in that full-time? Oh, I could never do that. Like, how do you live in there full time? Really? You don't have a house? You don't have a home? You don't own any property? You know, and it's like, yeah, I like it. I love my lifestyle. Well, then after that, she totally avoided me. When I was outside, she wouldn't talk to me anymore. She would hurry up and get in her vehicle or get into her RV and scurry off, and was obviously judging me because of my lifestyle. Also, I've been judged for having a truck camper. I love my rig. I picked my rig for a lot of different reasons, and I'm really happy with it. But there were 2 campgrounds that I had reservations at, and they wouldn't let me stay there because I had a truck camper. The first one, I was still travel nursing, and I had an assignment at Tampa General. And the nearest RV park was only 15 minutes away from Tampa General, and I called them to see if I can stay there for a few minutes when I worked. And she was saying yeah, and she was giving me the rates. And then she asked me what kind of rig I had. And I told her, I have a truck camper. Oh, no, we don't allow those. You can't stay here with that. We don't allow those. And kind of laughed at me. And at first it kind of took me off guard because I'm like, what? She's judging me because I have a truck camper? And then I just had to laugh at it. Like, well, I don't want to stay there. If they're judging me because of the vehicle that I'm traveling in, I don't want to stay there. Another time, it was also in Florida, Zephyr Hills, Florida, and it was a Thousand Trails, or it might have been an Encore. I think I was only staying there for a night or 2. And as usual, made the reservation online, everything went through, I had a truck camper on there, because when you make a campground reservation, they always ask you what kind of vehicle you have, what year it is, make and model. Right before I was going to stay, I got a call from the RV park telling me that they don't allow truck campers. But since it was short notice and my reservation was like the next day, she said they would make an exception. Since I wasn't staying very long, they're going to do this nicety for me and allow me to stay in my truck camper on their property, but they were going to put me somewhere where other people could not see me. I was just like, no, I'd rather not stay there, so just cancel my reservation. I'll find some other place. So, but the thing is, in life, people are always going to judge you for whatever, for your house, for your salary, for your job, for the way you look, whatever. And the thing that I found is it's not personal. It was never personal. And it's always about that person, their life, their beliefs, their experiences, what they think is important, and has nothing to do with you. So it's really difficult to take anything personally because they're in their head. In essence, they live in a totally different world than you do because our perception is our whole world, and their thoughts and beliefs affect how they see the world. And they're seeing me living in a truck camper as less than. I think people might equate it to being homeless, and that kind of breaks my heart because homeless people are still humans. For whatever reason, they're in this situation where they don't have shelter. And shouldn't we reach out to them? Shouldn't we help them? I don't know what the answer about homelessness is, but it makes me sad that people look through them. When you don't have a home and you live in the back of your truck, like I do, most people think it's cool. They're very curious and they ask me about the places I've been to and the things I've seen and the way I live. A lot of people say they wish they can do that. They would love to do that. But then other people judge me. Come on. Hello.
The state park is closing soon, so I'm gonna have to drive to another spot. But we'll continue the conversation. Okay, I'm gonna park here in front of this trailhead, Bulow Woods hiking trail. I've been on that trail before. It's a beautiful trail. I think it's like 8 miles. A book that I read that made a big impact in my life is by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's called The 4 Agreements. And it states 4 agreements to live by, and one of them is don't take anything personally. And these 4 agreements, I would have them tattooed on my arm if I ever wanted to get a tattoo, but I don't. When I first read the 4 agreements, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, how can you not take anything personally? If someone says something bad about you, if someone disrespects you, how can you not take that personally? I didn't know what they were talking about, but I read it at least once a year. It's a short read. It's really powerful. And now I totally get it. YouTube has made that crystal clear because people have said negative things about me. People have judged me for the way I look, for how I live, for the things I say. And it's not about me. It's reflecting something in them. A phrase I always say is people are our sacred mirrors, because what we see in other people is what is within us. And if something someone said triggered us, it's because something is unhealed within us. And I think for me, I learned that I can go back and I can heal that. I can go back. Sometimes they call it inner child work, because I dig deep and I try to find out, that woman with the class C, when she was judging me, I felt shame. Why is that? And I'd sit and meditate and think, when did I feel that same feeling before? And I'll go back. Oh, it was from when I was 5 and I was being bullied in kindergarten, or whatever it was from. So I'll go back and comfort that 5-year-old and tell that 5-year-old that it's okay. It's not your fault. You're a good person. Even if you made a mistake, even if you said the wrong thing, it doesn't matter, because you're still worthy and it's okay. And I love you. That sounds so funny, but I do. I say I love you to that little girl because I do. And I think you should love yourself. And for so many years, I didn't love myself and I did feel inferior. And I worked really, really hard to now proudly say, I do love myself. I do respect myself. I do stick up for myself. And it still brings tears because there were many, many years of pain because I didn't. And going back and comforting my younger self, even when I was married and I was in a narcissistic relationship for a long time, and going back to that younger woman and comforting her. I was in that relationship for a reason. I was in that relationship to learn something. And I really like the person I am now. So I'm not a victim because I chose that relationship for a reason. And I had to look deep. What about me led me to be with someone like that? And he had a lot of trauma in his past.
And that's the way he relates to the world now. But I accepted it. I don't know. Maybe I could do a whole video on that. So to get out of that, I had to face what was in me that made me get into a relationship like that. And I had to heal that before I can go out and love again. The most important thing is to love and accept ourselves and our imperfections and forgive ourselves. When I was able to forgive myself for the verbal abuse I was giving myself all those years, and for the shame that I carried all those years, it was so much easier to forgive everyone else around me. So when people do judge me, either from living in this camper or on YouTube, if I am triggered, I thank them because I can go back and I can heal that. And it's something that's still hurting and unhealed. So if they didn't trigger me, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to go back and heal that. I can see that it's truly about them. I approach them with understanding and love because we're all humans. We all do this from time to time. I think we should challenge our social norms and embrace alternative lifestyles. We don't have to live the status quo and just shut up and conform. We can do whatever we want. You are capable of living the life you want to live. And maybe you are now. And maybe there's other things you want to do. I don't know. But it is all within our power. It is all within our grasp. The joys and freedom of living in this truck camper, despite the stigma, have been worth it. Worth it so much. I think it is changing because of van life and seeing that on social media. It is changing, but it's still out there. The thing is, you're going to be judged no matter what you do. So just live the best life you can. Go out, live your life. Don't conform just because it's expected of you. Do what brings you joy. Love yourself. Respect yourself. Just embrace life. I'm sending you all love. Thank you so much for watching my video.